Hey, and just like that, we're 3 weeks deep on season 7. Are we on 7? Is it 7? Somebody tell me the season.
I think it's 7. It's 7.
Vicky Joy, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. You know, I was expecting Shatner to lose his shirt in that very genteel, unaggressive confrontation there.
Man, isn't that wonderful?
Oh, man.
That's back when my grandpa had a saying. He said, back when men were men and boys were boys and girls were glad of it. Have you ever heard that saying?
No, I've only heard the first 2 parts of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, well, who knows what my grandpa made up. But, folks, this is Through the Black, the Through the Black YouTube channel. Her name is Vicky. My name is Tom. And we like to chill out with you once in a while here on the YouTube channel. You can go to throughtheblack.com to find all of our stuff, all of our links. Vicky's got a book. Colleen's got a book. Vicky's book, they only come out at night. Vic, you are like a podcast maniac, just going everywhere. There you go. So links in the show notes, folks. They only come out at night about sleep paralysis. And if you didn't know this, if you're new to the channel, Vic, a while back, can you believe it's been a while back now? We actually did a whole series on the different chapters of the book. And we kind of broke them down. So if anybody wants to go back in our archives, there's different ways to get to the archives, by the way. So you can find all those links at throughtheblack.com. Hey, guys, don't forget about the Go Therefore conference that's coming up in July. Pastor Mike Spalding is putting this on. It's going to be Coach Dave. It's going to be Greg Reed is going to be back. David Hevner, L.A. Marzulli, Vicky's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Lots of people are going to be there. Pastor Mike, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny is going to be back. So, and then other people that I can't remember, but it's going to be super sweet. So, link in the show notes. Vic, have you ever had one of those days or one of those weekends like you just like, dude, what the heck, man? Like, like people, you know, seriously, like, right? People call us for help, and I'm like, man, I couldn't even help a fly right now, you know? Just like, you just, like, nothing's wrong. You just feel that way, right? You're just like, it could be exhaustion, or it could just be you're not in the zone, and I was feeling that way, I don't know, 1 or 2 days ago, and I thought, you know what? I know Russ had to feel this way sometimes.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm kind of having one of those weekends, too. I'm not complaining, Tom, because, like, I do way better if I'm overproductive than if I'm underproductive. So I'm so glad that I've got stuff to do and that the Lord's keeping me busy. But I need a little bit of downtime now and then, some, like, alone time. And I don't think I've had, like, a day for a couple weeks now. So I'm kind of going off of some fumes here, but I got a day off on Wednesday and I'm gonna refuel. So
Hey, I'm glad to hear that. Because we've got some cool stuff coming up this week. But Vic, I'll tell you what, this weekend. So let me tell you what happened to me, and maybe some people will be able to relate with my first world problems. So we got a water bill in the mail, and the water bill was like extraordinarily high. Okay, now normally it's $50, and it was probably over 5 times that, and we're like, what is happening, right?
yeah.
So I called the water people, and they said, yeah, we got you all tracked out right here. And they know how much, every time we flush the toilet, they know what's happening, right? That's how they're tracking us. Okay. And I'm just like, that's awesome. Anyway, like they said, yeah, I'm watching it right now. You have something running in your house right now. So I spent a day and a half tracking every water line in this basement, from the source to where it went out, and I can't find any leaks. And according to them, I'm not looking for a drip. I'm looking like for something that's gushing. Okay. Because there was one point, according to them, that there was 100 gallons in 1 hour. And I'm thinking, man, I couldn't use 100 gallons in an hour if I tried.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, I did track down a toilet that was running. Okay. It took seriously, it took a day to figure that out. And I couldn't, it was weird because I'm like, where's the water going? Okay. I know when you turn this one bathroom light on, the fan comes on, so you couldn't hear anything.
Okay.
So I had to go in there in the dark with flashlight. By the way, the flashlight that your dad got me came in real handy this week. So
Nice.
yeah, I crawled back into this crawl space, and it was super dark in there. And I actually had the light on for an extended period of time. That sucker is bright, and it got pretty hot. Yeah, I had to shut it off for a while. So I don't know if that thing is safe for humans or what. I forgot. I didn't read the.
Yeah.
But,
If Jeff Anderson buys you a flashlight, guaranteed it is not safe for humans.
yeah. Well, anyway, so listen to this. And I think this is hilarious, Vic. I finally, on Saturday evening, I'm finally closing down shop, and I replaced a flapper on a toilet. Okay. And I'm like, and I'm turning the main water back on. And as I'm turning the main water back on, keep in mind, I've been turning it off and on all day long. A leak comes out of the main water. And now I'm like, okay, how do I fix this? I have water, like it's a Saturday afternoon. I need to call the city to come out and shut the water off. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that. I was able to look online and learn how to tighten up a nut on there.
Wow.
And fix it. But I just started laughing. I was like, this is hilarious. Like I don't know. Anyway, you either have to laugh or cry or scream or something. But
yeah.
So that was only one thing I dealt with in the last few days. So yeah, but it's all good, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. The worst I had to do was chase a squirrel out from underneath the hood of my Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
So, there you go.
I saw the tail on Instagram. So
yes. Yeah. That was pretty exciting. My dad said, "What's all that fur on the hood of your Jeep?" I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "It's that mouse. It's that mouse." I had to get my my tabs last month, and so they're like, "Oh, just bring in your registration." I'm like, "Oh, cool, it's in my glove box." And I went in my glove box. There was like this much of my registration left, and it was all nibbled and shreds all over. They had gotten in and decided to make a home with nesting material out of my registration, so that was exciting. So I thought,
wow.
It's the mouse. I'm gonna get that mouse. So I took off for the Jeep, and I was gonna get that mouse, and there was this big, it was like Davy Crockett was hanging out there. The Jeeps were all hanging out. I'm like, that is not a mouse. Oh, that was great.
Remember when on those old Bugs Bunny cartoons when Sylvester used to fight a mouse, but it was really a kangaroo, and you didn't know.
Yes.
Was
Oh,
funny.
good times, good times. Back when you could actually watch a cartoon and it wasn't completely the occult.
Oh my gosh, what's up with cartoons?
Oh
I don't
man.
even know. We can't even get into this stuff. Hey, folks, by the way, speaking of we can't even get into this stuff, just to let you know, Through the Black is working. It sometimes seems like it's going kind of slow, but we're taking this very seriously. We're looking for a way to get to a place where we won't be censored. Even tonight, we have to watch what we say because we can be censored. Who did I see? I saw Derek and Sharon actually got censored for a video that they made 3 years ago. They got shut off of YouTube for a week. So it's a thing that's going on out there. We're trying to find a way to get around that. And folks, if you guys if it weren't for you guys, then we wouldn't be here. Okay. We have 48 people live and we have hundreds of people in the archives. We appreciate you, and we're just trying to figure out a way, not only um, for us and for all the shows that we do, all the shows that we have coming up. We're working on stuff. Man, I have had conversations with people behind the scenes of new possibilities of the Through the Black network, people that are going to work with us and produce just killer content. And hopefully this is going to be like a one-stop place where you can come and get um, content that's going to be spiritual warfare and stuff and all the things that we do. Okay. Lots of ideas. We just don't have enough hours in the day to do them. So anyway, Vic, I'm excited about some of that stuff. I know that you are you're probably going to write several more books by the end of the year. You're trying to pump out the content.
I don't know, man. Not if January through May is any indication. We'll see. We'll see. It's sort of I think what I have to get over is I kind of thought, oh, I'll market this book for like 3 months and get back to my life. And here we are on almost a year. And hey, as long as people still want to give me a platform to talk about the book, I'll do it. But I keep thinking like it's time to start writing again. And then there's another wave of podcasts. So we'll see. We'll see when the writing season starts again. Hopefully soon, because I miss the writing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, by the way, link to Vicky's book in the show notes. Also, Colleen wrote a book. Colleen's going to be on in a couple of days. We have an interview coming up. Can't wait for tonight's show and tomorrow night's show. So yeah, there you go. The Lie Effect, Overcoming Soul Abduction. So it's man, we got a lot of stuff that we need to mention because we have new listeners all the time that don't know, hey, we actually have movies, we have books, we have t-shirts and stuff. It's only like an hour and a half show, so there's not really a lot of time to sell stuff. But yeah, guys, we have a super cool clothing line called Ezekiel 8. There's really none other like it, and it's all inspired by Ezekiel chapter 8, and it's about exposing the underground. And throughtheblack.com, there's a link to it. You can find links to all the stuff on there. But Vic, I know we're going to get into this tonight, but there were some news stories, and you had a link to an interesting one out of Minnesota.
Yeah, sure, you betcha. So obviously, as many people know, I lived in Minnesota a good portion of my life. I was born there. We escaped, but so obviously people keep sending me articles about what's going on in Minnesota, and all I can tell you is I'm glad I got out when I did. This I keep like looking for the Babylon Bee logo on this article, Tom, but alas, it's real. Minnesota Democrats push government bias registry. Keep that. Here's a new buzzword for us to all learn: bias registry, to track conservative speech. And notice that it is just tracking conservative speech, not the other side. So saying that certain illnesses is a certain country's bioweapon could get you on a proposed government speech registry in Minnesota. First paragraph here, St. Paul, Minnesota. Minnesota residents may soon end up on a government database if they discuss the origins of YouTube censor or quote Bible verses that criticize certain things that begin with H, right? So you can check out that whole article on Life site. But, leave it to Minnesota. They're always the bellwether state for nonsense, over-the-top legislation. For all the crap we give the state of California, we all like to blame California on being radical. If you really study what's going on in the state legislature over in St. Paul, Minnesota, it is crazy. It's beyond anything. I personally, I secretly think that Minnesota is sending all their ideas to California, and California might implement it first, but it's all Minnesota's idea.
Well, it's kind of crazy that they even think that, hey, that they can get away with this. They probably can get away with it. And it's totally normal to them.
Yeah, in Minnesota you could. What's sad about it is the majority of the state as a whole is really good, hardworking, blue-collar, gun-toting, church-going people. But the city, Minneapolis and St. Paul, is flooded with a particular demographic, and a lot of that demographic has been moved in. And we haven't been a red state since Nixon. And I think we actually are a red state. I keep saying we because, I was born and raised there, but I truly believe it is a red state. And I think that it's been hijacked for most of my life.
Yeah. And checking out some of the stuff happening in the comments, guys. We appreciate your comments, and we like knowing how you feel, even if it's contrary to the way that we feel. I like hearing, we get ideas and we get inspired, and it creates good conversation. So speaking of some news stories today, this just came out today, the Durham report, or this FBI report that's going on almost close to 8 years. Okay. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but apparently they found out that it wasn't true, the Trump Russia collusion. Now, I want to be careful. What I'm saying here. I don't want to get into any trouble with the wonderful people at YouTube. I'm just reporting what I heard on CNN. Okay. So according to CNN, now, please, I'm quoting here, Vic. It's very important. I want the people at YouTube to know. I saw this with my own eyes. Jake Tapper from CNN said that Trump is kind of exonerated.
Well, and CNN never tells mistruths, so we can rely on that information.
Yeah. So, CNN, please don't take down our channel here for a week
for quoting your story.
Yeah. I'm serious, YouTube. That's what I heard. That's what I saw. We're not going to play the clip because that clip could get us in trouble. It's a CNN clip saying, anyway, it's kind of funny how I never doubted for a second, not that that I think Trump is a Boy Scout or anything, but I never doubted for a second that this wasn't real, So anyway, it's kind of funny how I didn't need millions of dollars to know that. It was just kind of obvious, right?
Well, it's not over till the CNN lady sings.
Yes.
So something like that.
Please tread very lightly, Vic. I don't want us to get in trouble. So, hey, I want to respond real quick. Somebody was saying bumper stickers. I think Bug Garden. Yeah, we got all kinds of stickers. Matter of fact, anybody that orders anything from Through the Black will get a very exclusive sticker that no one knows about except for me.
Top
it
secret.
Just came in the other day.
Oh.
So
I don't even know about it.
Yeah, no, it's super top secret, and it's really small too. It's like, yeah. Anyway, and it's directly connected to a talk I did at the Take on the World conference.
It's so small, it's invisible. So if you don't get it mailed to you, it's there.
Yeah. I did a talk at the Take on the World conference a couple years ago, and there was a song that I referenced in the talk. And I don't know if anybody was there or anybody saw that. I'll be curious. I'll watch the Jerry Springer's dead. I'll watch the comments to see if anybody remembers that or if anybody happened to be there for that conference, for that talk. So that's what this sticker is about. It was a song that I referenced. So yeah, we do have stickers. You guys can check all that out through theblack.com. Vic, there was another story that I saw come through. Somebody shared it here on in our behind the scenes sharing app about Arby's. Did you see this?
I did.
I'll be honest with you. I like me some roast beef, but
yeah.
It says disturbing find. Body found in Arby's freezer in New Iberia, Louisiana, in horror discovery made by restaurant employee. And I have my glasses on, but I'm still going to need that kind of blown up a little bit, Katie, if we can. So it looks like this was May 11th, 2023. A dead body has been found inside a freezer at a fast food restaurant. The corpse was discovered at an Arby's in New Iberia, Louisiana, about 70 miles southwest of Baton Rouge on Thursday. And you can see the cops are there. There's the restaurant. Employees found the body sometime around 6 p.m., according to Sergeant Daisha Hughes with the New Iberia Police Department. The New Iberia Police Department responded to the business of Arby's located on East Admiral Doyle Drive at approximately 6:20 in reference to a body found inside of a freezer. Hughes told the U.S. Sun, the death is suspicious and being investigated. Authorities have since said that the person in the freezer was a manager at the restaurant. Wow. Is that the end of the article? Okay. Her identity has not been released. Police don't believe that there was any foul play involved in her death. So, kind of interesting.
Yikes.
So was that a manager from the night before and they didn't find her until 6 o'clock the next day?
Like she didn't show up for a shift?
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, or was she actually at work? And another thing I want to know is, was she frozen?
I was literally just about to say, James Fire, I'm waiting for a fast food pun from you, and he beat me to it. There it is. You didn't let down. You didn't let us down.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be eating at Arby's for a while. Don't want no finger food. Some of the interesting, I mean, can you imagine that going into the freezer? I used to work when I was about 16 years old. My first job was working at Burger King, Vic.
My brother's too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did I ever tell you about that?
I don't think so. Your old BK days. Did you have the polyester pantsuit with the sun visor?
Yeah. I had the shirt. And I started off on the conveyor broiler, or the conveyor.
Okay. Flame broiler.
Flame broiler, yeah. And I worked there for a long time, and guess where I ended at?
Fry machine?
No, same spot. Like I never got promoted.
Even better. Real lucrative career there, huh?
Which, yeah, I'm telling you, man, I was a whiz at that. Like the first couple of days, I couldn't keep up with them. They were falling everywhere. But I could not feed that flame broiler quick enough.
Wow.
And they would call out burger, then a Whopper, and I'm just like, I got a box of Whoppers on the right and a box of burgers on the left. and I'm just feeding that thing as fast as I can.
Oh man.
And then I got to catch them on the other side, right? And then
Yeah.
you got to put the buns in too.
Yeah. That was back when Burger King served actual meat.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've not eaten there in a while, but
It's been a while.
that was my diet when I was a kid, was McDonald's and Burger King when I
Oof.
was a teenager.
Yikes.
So I would take 2 cheeseburgers, smash them together, sometimes put fries on them, and eat them that way. So
Oh wow. Oh
yeah.
wow.
And I had a metabolism that could just, I could have ate the paper too, the wrapper. It just like, but that went bye in my 20s. So
I do miss that 20s metabolism.
yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, it was. I could not gain a pound over 145 if I tried. So
I think I had Diet Coke and a package of Ding Dongs or something for breakfast every day through college and my first job. I'm like, and I would be like, someday this is going to catch up, and I'd be like, shut up, and yeah, it caught up. So
yeah,
those are the days.
So, Vic, well, it's like this. Somebody sent me a message a couple weeks ago, and they said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And it was a little video on Facebook, and somebody was giving a testimony about reptilians. And I thought, this is a good idea for a show. And I kind of responded back to the person. I'm not going to give it all away what I said, but I thought, we should talk about this. I don't know if Pastor Sean has talked about this or not. He's talked about so many different things that I wouldn't be surprised if he's covered it in one way or another. But we're going to jump into it tonight. So, and that is the idea or the belief of reptilians. So do you remember where you were when you first started believing in reptilians?
I remember where I was the first time I was introduced to what they were. I don't know. I think I probably thought they were fictional though, because it was in the 80s and it was the V series, you know, and we were glued to our TVs each night to.
Yeah. Interesting. You brought that up. You know, the thing about that show is I wasn't allowed to stay up till 11.
Was that?
I wasn't allowed to stay up till 11 to watch it.
Oh, wow. I didn't remember.
So I could only watch the first hour, and then I had to go to bed.
Oh.
And I had a friend that had a VCR, and he recorded like all the whole mini series, and I went over to his house and stayed overnight and watched it one time. But I remember in that very first episode when the reporter, and I'm forgetting his name right now, snuck onto the ship. Okay. And he was trying to find out what was going on with these people, with these aliens, right?
Yeah.
And he got up into this heating duct or something, and he was watching them behind the scenes. So this is what I saw. I was probably about 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old. So we have that clip. And this is when we first see these aliens. And this was an exciting time. So let's go ahead and watch this. Yeah, we're going to watch this clip here. It's a couple minutes long. And I want to know if anybody else remembers this from the 80s. So here we go.
Well, the longer we can keep the public's confidence,
Bam. That's how you deal. That's how you do it right there.
Yep, with your 400-pound camcorder.
Yeah. so okay.
Good
I
stuff.
don't know. I don't know which direction this is going to go tonight, but we're going to get into it. So I thought it would be appropriate if I read real quick out of Genesis chapter 3. It says this. It says, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, 'Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?'" And it goes on, and we know what happens. So, Vic, of course, with people like David Icke and their stories, there's the ancient aliens. We're going to take a look at that in a minute. There is this belief, okay, well, in other races, alien races, and underground tunnels, underground bases, and even living among us, reptilians. We've seen probably the videos for years. Now let me ask you this: where do you remember seeing your first reptilian eye video? Like when they're like, "Okay, look, his eye right there, his eye switched to
Yep.
lizard eyes."
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So tell me about that experience, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, slow it down. Okay, let me see that again. Oh wow. Like,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts?
So I probably had the same thought that all of us have every time we see a video now. And this is why I think that this whole thing is so diabolical. You can obviously go to it's been photoshopped, it's special effects. Anybody could do this. So it's not that I believe or don't believe it, but I think I tend to believe more the firsthand accounts of people who tell the stories than a video on YouTube.
Yeah, but did you see the eye switch, Vic?
I saw the eye switch. I saw the eye switch. Well, there's a story that a guy on one of LA's DVDs tells a story about meeting a woman, and she was human looking and beautiful and a little bit odd, but he was in her apartment, and at one point he said where it got weird. I'm sure many of you have heard this story because it's on one of his DVDs and he's played it. He has it at conferences and things. But at one point they were out on her deck or something. Don't quote me exactly the details, but some sort of a fly or a bug landed on her glass and she ate it. And at that point he's like, okay, weird. And then she came over and approached him and her eyes switched and he threw her off of himself and ran for the hills. But so we see this clip from V with the long tongue and they make it look corny. Of course, I will admit it was not corny in the 80s when you watched it. It was
dude,
scary stuff back then. But it seems to mirror the stories of people who have actually seen these people. And I don't know if there's people out there. The stories that I've heard, Tom, aren't people that have seen them fully revealed. Usually it's the eyes or it's some strange behavior that they like eating the fly or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've seen it. Some of the ones I've seen are some newscasters.
Yes.
Okay. You've seen those ones?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we should have probably queued some of those up tonight, but I just remembered them just now. So, I remember one time talking with Russ. He said he saw somebody's eyes switch. Like, the shape of their eye, just like, and I don't know if this was color or not, but he's like, Tom, I'm telling you what, I saw their eyes change, like the shape of their eye. He says it was like, so it became serpent or cat-like.
Mhm.
And, it's kind of interesting with the eyes because we know that people who are demonized, their eyes will go dark a lot of times.
Mhm.
And there is, I don't know, I guess I don't know what it is with the eyes and what power something supernatural has over the eyes. Now, the eyes physiologically are connected directly to the brain. It's like brain tissue, that's out there exposed. So I don't know. I don't know what that connection is or why the eyes go dark or whatever. And I don't know what Russ saw, but he told me 100%. And if there's anybody that I trust, it's Russ and his testimony. Anyway, the videos of the eyes are out there. There's probably more than 5 of them. And we begin seeing those. We begin hearing the testimonies. We begin hearing about the underground bases. Okay, and these reptilian people that had like a very dark presence, right? Around them. Anytime you got near them, you could feel their presence. You could feel oppression. So we heard these stories over and over. And we're going to look here in a little bit at a testimony from the show Ancient Aliens. So folks, by the way, very trustworthy. You're going to see they got professionals on this show. Okay. Just basically vetting out all the facts, things like this. So we're going to take a look at this. And then at the end of this, Vic, you and I are going to give our, our thoughts on this as to what these things could be. What are people seeing? Okay. What are they experiencing? This sort of thing. So why don't we get into this clip of Ancient Aliens here? And we're probably going to stop this a few times. Vic, if you see anything you want to talk about, go ahead and freeze it, and then we'll get into it.
Okay.
Bishopville, South Carolina, June 1988, 2 a.m. 17-year-old Christopher Davis had pulled over on a deserted road near Scape Ore Swamp to fix a flat tire. Just as he finished, he heard a noise behind him. He saw a strange 7-foot-tall creature with red glowing eyes running towards him. Davis started to drive away, but the creature caught up with him and jumped on the roof of the car. Swerving hard to throw the creature off, he saw it had 3 fingers and green skin. Finally, it fell from the car, and Davis sped away.
And he ended up getting out of where he was, and he went immediately home. He was so upset that his parents called the police department. Sheriff Liston Truesdale actually went out there and interviewed him. He asked him to take a lie detector test, and this young boy passed the lie detector test with flying colors.
What Christopher Davis told the detective he saw was a lizard man.
And what's interesting is that the police took the story very, very seriously. Although Christopher Davis's sighting of the lizard man was certainly the most famous and infamous one, it's not the only one. They tracked down a number of other witnesses who both previously and after had seen the lizard man.
In the spring of 1988, a crop duster named Frank Mitchell reported seeing what he said was a lizard man cross his grassy runway one morning as he was about to take off. And 2 years later, in 1990, Bertha Blythers and her 5 children claimed they nearly hit a lizard-like man while driving near the same swamp. Could these incidents all be related? Is it merely coincidence that 3 separate people on 3 separate occasions reported seeing a lizard man near the skateboard swamp?
Could there possibly be another species of life down here, something we're not aware of, and they're interacting with people?
Further sightings of a so-called lizard man have been reported not only in this area, but also in Tennessee, Illinois, and Austria. In fact, alleged encounters with these creatures have become so widespread, they are now collectively known by one name: the Reptilians.
Okay, so Vic, these lizard guys better stay out of the road. They're going to get hit.
No doubt.
How much fun would it be if we had some time? Where's this place at?
Oh, yeah. South Carolina, that was the first one.
Yeah. If we could get a lizard suit.
We'd probably get shot now.
Yeah, I know. A bulletproof lizard suit.
Back in the good old days when you could dress up like a lizard man and
Yeah, everybody's strapped nowadays.
scare the locals.
Yeah. And all you got to do is come out. All we got to do is get out there one time and just we can bring this legend back to life. I don't know. What are your thoughts so far there?
So what fascinates me about this kind of stuff is obviously I deal in the realm of, I know a lot of people who have seen these creatures asleep. You know what I mean? These things that can appear. But it fascinates me, the people that have these encounters with entities and spirits while they are wide awake. Like because sleep paralysis people, they tell you their story, and the first thing that most people say is, "Are you sure you weren't asleep? Well, it was probably just a dream." And there's all of this like area for questioning. But if you're changing a flat tire and something runs after you, it's kind of hard for someone to say, "Are you sure you weren't asleep?" You know what I mean? So with some of like the Bigfoots and things like that, I saw it in a distance. I don't really know what it was. It was blurry, all that stuff, right? But if you've got something where it jumped on your car and you're seeing it through your windshield, at that point, I don't think it's a guy in a suit, because, who would go to that length and who'd be that tall? So I do think, to a degree, this is what I think happens in a lot of these situations. I think that these things, these cryptids and things, are real. But when people actually encounter them and they're actually smart, sober, and articulate, and they pass lie detector tests, that they have to kind of come up with a satanic panic way of making it out to be like that particular person was maybe crazy or whatever. So I think what they do is they take the kernel of truth and then they turn it into these ridiculous, like trolling kind of stories. So then people latch on to the caricature version, which seems ridiculous. And then they can just throw everything away. So I don't think it's like V or They Live, where, if you pulled at someone's face, they'd pull off like a Scooby-Doo mask and there'd be a lizard underneath and all this silly stuff. But we do know that, the Nakash, the serpent of the Bible, they're more like dragons. And if you go with like the Gary Wayne interpretation of Nakash meaning fiery ones, now you've got a concept of like a fire-breathing dragon. But like, think like Komodo dragon, like lizard-like. So I do think there are Nakash seraphim creatures, but I think that Hollywood has turned it into something so silly that anytime you mention a reptilian, it just seems fictional. But is there a difference between a reptilian or a reptoid or an archon or a seraphim or a Nakash? That's the question.
So Vic, I have no clue what you just said, because I've been watching the chat.
Oh gosh.
And apparently we disappeared for about a minute. And we're back. I thought we were gone for good. I didn't know what had happened. I thought we crossed the line again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for some reason we were gone, but we're back. But I just want to mention real quick, folks, if we ever disappear here, we are on Rumble.
It's the Reptilians.
Okay? So, and the shows get uploaded to Rumble almost every day. So, anyway, yeah, Through the Black. I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, that is the Rumble channel. So it looked like I thought we were on they have the same pictures, but yeah, that's the Rumble channel, folks. And Rumble channel will be in the show notes as well. If for some reason this gets shut down, we're recording the show and we can upload it later. We would not want you to miss any crucial reptilian information. If you are a regular viewer of this show, you know that Vicky Joy and we share crucial information, and you don't want to miss a second of it because you might miss something very, very important. So, Vic, there's a lot of, lizard talk everywhere, right? I mean, from Genesis chapter 3 to all of these legends, the winged serpent down in, is it Quetzalcoatl down in where the Mayan temples are?
Yeah.
Of course, lizard people etched in stone all over the world. So, and I wonder, what are your thoughts there on the Nakash? And I heard you mention that. But before the fall or before the temptation, okay, it indicates that the snake was bipedal. It doesn't say that, but it kind of hints at it. And then it makes it crawl on its belly. Maybe it was, it had 4 legs. It was like more lizard-like.
Yeah.
I don't want to read too much into that scripture, but it's kind of interesting.
So it was enlightening for me when I read the Genesis 6 conspiracy, Gary Wayne. And up to that point, this was maybe 8 to 10 years ago. I don't know. I had never heard anything but your standard pew warming talking snake story, right? And I'm like every other Christian. I thought it sounded kind of weird, but you don't question it. And you think, well, things were different back then. And every kid asks in Sunday school, like, why weren't Adam and Eve scared that a snake started talking? And you get some bogus story about how all the animals talked back then or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, when not everyone agrees with this interpretation, y'all, there's contention among the scholars as to what Nechash really means and how to translate it. But I believe Gary Wayne says that it can be translated as shining ones, which of course we've all heard that terminology from Russ's research as well. But it can also, shining can be fiery, like shining, like fiery one. And if you look at it in terms of, rather than a serpent or a snake, if you look at it like it's a seraphim, and if you look at the ancient dragon courts that go all the way back to antediluvian times, and if you look at ancient Asian cultures, like with their traditions of a fire-breathing dragon, so you've got here a dragon and you've got fire, and you've got at least the potential makings of, instead of a snake, you've got a Komodo dragon, which is lizard-like, and it's got the reptilian-like skin and those sorts of eyes. And obviously, though, this wasn't just like a gecko kind of a thing, because it was angelic in nature. So that kind of explanation makes sense to me, Tom, and maybe it's because it's coming from someone like Gary Wayne, and I think Heiser talked about this kind of stuff too. But obviously, if the Nakash was some sort of seraphim or fallen archon or something, I don't think we're dealing necessarily with humanoids or reptilians the way, the History Channel would explain it to us, but are these I guess the real question for me, Tom, isn't whether or not these seraphim or these nachashes exist. My question is more, are they on are there boots on the ground? And if they are they in disguise, and are they interacting with human beings? I mean, we know these things exist because there's mention of a talking serpent in Genesis. So I'm more curious as to what's their agenda, and are they really interacting with mankind? And if so, what is their disguise? Is it a human disguise? I don't know. Those are some of my questions, I guess.
Yeah. You wonder where the idea from the TV show V came from. And that's not the only one, but that was a lot for a lot of us. That was the first time we saw anything like that. Vic, let me ask you this. How are you around snakes and lizards and stuff? Are you okay around them, or have you hold snakes? I'm not asking if you're a snake handler.
I don't know if I've ever held one, but like I see them on the property all the time, and I don't bother them, like I don't scream or jump up on a chair or anything like that. They're usually more scared of me than, they're the first ones to bolt, but I'm not like squeamish about it.
Right.
I mean, if
I don't want to say I'm squeamish, but I'm just kind of like, I'm over it.
I wouldn't want one in my house. It would be different if it was in my house. Then
I'm over it. I held snakes when I was a kid. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
But so yeah, no, I just mentioned that because I had one of my kids came over to visit yesterday, and they brought a snake with them.
Interesting.
And I'm just kind of like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can leave them at home next time.
Back when I lived in Minnesota, I would go to the end of our dock at our cabin, and I would just lay down there and soak up the sun. And I'd be laying on my stomach, and I'd like just be playing in the water, watching all the turtles like swim by and stuff. And so the boat was there. And so one day I was out there for, a good hour right next to the boat rope. Right. And after about an hour, the boat rope started moving and uncoiled itself and jumped into the water and started floating. So I was literally sitting out there next to this stinking snake for like an hour and did not, because it literally looked just like the rope, with the texture. Yeah. So but even then I didn't jump up or scream or anything. I kind of just realized what a city girl I was and how stupid I was, and I couldn't tell the difference between a rope and a snake. But yeah, so as long as they're outside, I'm okay with them.
Yeah, if one rolls up on me, I would probably jump. Okay, I'm not a fan. I had a roommate that had a pretty good size boa. It wasn't giant, okay, but and the thing would get out of its cage and crawl into the bathroom sink all the time.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, I was not a fan of that. So he kept putting, like, the snake kept getting stronger and stronger. He kept putting weights on top of it, but it could still knock the top screen off.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So. I think if somebody wanted to like put a big boa constrictor around my neck, I'd say, nah, I don't need to be crushed to death today.
Yeah.
But,
well, I'm just kind of like, when it comes to these big boa constrictors and the way these people have them as pets, I'm like, dude, if you don't keep that thing fed, you one day will be that thing is not friends with you.
Right.
As is a lot of wild animals. Okay. So I don't know. That's my thought on that. So Vic, down there in the country in South Carolina, this reminds me, of course, of a few different things. It reminds me of Bigfoot. It reminds me of Mothman. Here are these sightings of these lizard men, these lizard people. What could have happened? This guy saw something, jumped on his car, and he passed a lie detector test. Okay, some other people in the area saw something. Now, I wouldn't want to go out in that place in a lizard suit unless I knew that it was going to be a place where there was no guns. Okay, because
Yes. Yeah.
you would get, that's a good way to get pumped full of lead, right?
Right.
But there are other people that is not as smart as I am, and they could go out there, and they could have went out there and done that. They could have, just like they could have dressed up as Bigfoot as well in some of these places. So
if you're going to jump on a moving vehicle, that just doesn't seem like something a prankster, stupid drunk guy down south would do. Well, maybe drunk, but that's a way to get killed.
Yeah, it would be. It'd be dangerous.
Yeah,
be very dangerous. So, but I mean, I guess let's take a look at at all of the very intricate crop circles that have been faked. There's a lot of good ones out there, and there's a lot of them that we can't explain. And speaking, I guess one way they claim they can tell the difference between crop circles is that the plants aren't broken. They just they begin growing. You know what I'm saying? In a certain way to make these designs. Mm-hmm. But when they fake a crop circle, the stalks of the corn or the wheat or whatever are broken. Excuse me. About to yawn there. So Vic, you're not boring me, but it's just past my bedtime. So anyway, I'm curious. I bet some people have some testimony, some stories. Leave them in the chat and put them in the comments below also. So folks, by the way, there's some really good comments that get put in the chat that don't make it into the comments below. And if you have something that's significant, try to copy and paste it and drop it down there as well, so other people that are watching this show later can see it. So anyway, well, Vic, let's go back in. Let's watch a little bit more of this Ancient Aliens video here and see what else they have to say about the lizard people. So,
all right,
here we go. Talking about reptilians tonight. So here it is. Oh, maybe not. I wonder. Okay.
The Reptilians. But could account of the Reptilians be more than just the product of overactive imaginations? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. And as evidence, they point to the legends of serpent gods that can be found throughout the world.
In South America, Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, they're always referenced as serpent gods. Even in Japan or ancient China, we have these dragon emperors and dragon gods. It's very possible that there was a time in the past that ancient man was interacting with what appear to be living serpent beings.
Okay. So as we went live, Vic, oh, there she is.
Sorry.
As we went live with that clip again, I thought, oh, maybe this is why we lost the stream. It could have been the reason why they're shutting us down. So anyway, and then Katie kind of agrees with me there. So we're just going to try to keep these clips shorter and comment on them. So Vic, I don't know how much of that you saw. I just saw you come back, but
no, I was just grabbing something that was on my kitchen table.
Okay.
This is really timely clip because I just got done reading Dr. Jeb Burton's The Nephilim Dossier, and he has an entire chapter on his take on this ancient alien theory. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I mean, I've lost track of how many years that show has been on, and they're just pushing this Anunnaki, our progenitors, they're going to come back. And you know, and obviously Marzulli and Burton and a lot of our friends in this field have their own interpretations of who those Anunnakis are and what Nibiru really is. And so I don't know. I don't know what to think about the ancient alien stuff, Tom. I think it was Stephen Bankars that says that that's what watching that show is what caused him to first question the Bible and go so far off track into the New Age before he.
Interesting.
And it was just this fascination in the tale that they're weaving through that, you know, decades plus long series. And I guess what's tricky about it is it's the same thing as the garden. The serpent was primarily speaking facts. He just wove the lie through it, right? So it's not that these beings aren't out there, that they don't have power, that they're not interacting with us. It's that they're not who they say they are. That's the issue.
Yeah. Hey, and apparently we are once again missing. So we just kind of continue on the show, Vic. This could it looks like we're back.
All right.
So
well, they're just proving us to be true when they
maybe they have something to hide here.
Yep. Maybe we should maybe we should all put our black sunglasses on and see what's going on.
Yeah.
They live.
They live, we sleep. So
consume, obey.
So yeah, folks, again, did I mention that we're trying to find a way to get around this? So Vic, my friend Chris White, and I say my friend, I haven't talked to him in years and I've been out of contact with him, but we used to be friends years ago. Chris White was a very well-known conspiracy dude, ancient aliens debunker. Matter of fact, he made a movie called Ancient Aliens Debunked or something like that. And years ago he made this movie.
Is that the same Chris White that wrote the sleep paralysis book?
Yeah, same guy. So basically, just very systematically did an amazing job. I want to say that's the name of the movie, Ancient Aliens Debunked. And anyway, he just kind of step by step, show by show, point by point, just debunked everything that these guys were saying. And Chris got so good at it, I think he just kind of got bored with it, and he kind of disappeared. I heard he's still out there doing some stuff, you know.
I hope so. So.
Yeah. I would love to catch up with him and find out what's going on with him. Ancient Aliens Debunked. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
So, and that is by, where's my glasses? Chris White and Michael Heiser. Yeah, I forgot Michael Heiser was a big part of that.
Wasn't Chris at your original conference you did down in Tennessee?
No, he was not there actually.
Oh, he wasn't. Was he at one? I thought he was at one of your conferences.
No.
Okay.
I don't even know if he was at a conference I was at.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, anyway. Well, there was another Mike, there was Dr. Future and Tom Bionic, which that's not their real names. Did you ever see, do you know who Dr. Future is?
Only through you.
Okay. I wonder if there's anybody in the chat that knows or has heard of Dr. Future, and Future Quake was the name of the show. It aired every week on some radio station down in Tennessee, and then they put the podcast out. And it was like this little produced 30-minute show, and they did this interview, but they broke it up into 5 parts, and then when they did the podcast, they would like put the whole thing together.
Nice.
Like 30 minutes. It was like 2.5 hours altogether, like 5 days a week. It would air somewhere in a Nashville, Tennessee station. And then they would, they had everybody. That's where you went to, that's where I first, I think, heard Tom Horn. Of course, L.A. Marzulli was on there, and I did a conference that was surrounded by them. Anyway, I'm just kind of sharing that little story and stalling for time because we can't show our clip anymore, folks. I had some more stuff I wanted to talk about on that clip. I wonder if we'll be able to show the David Icke clip. Surely that's not copyrighted material.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So Tom, Dr. Future was really ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was.
That was for you, James.
Yeah. So Dr. Future, the person, Dr. Future, his real name is Michael Bennett. And he was actually an inventor, and he invented some kind of material that they would put on gas tanks of police vehicles. That way, because police vehicles were in so many collisions, and their gas tanks were exploding.
Oh.
So he invented something to stop, to reduce the amount of explosions. And I think it had military applications as well. Anyway, just a little bit of trivia there for Dr. Future. I wish Katie could find the trailer that I made. Did we ever play that trailer? It was The Last Days was the name of it. I don't know if we played it here or not.
I don't know. I don't know if
yeah.
I've seen that one.
So that's another, I don't know. Anyway, but it has the time where we had that conference. That's what by the way, the trailer is there, but the movie doesn't exist because I never finished the movie.
Oh, wow.
This was my first venture.
Oh, wow.
And anyway.
So since we can't do our clips, I have a question for anyone in the chat or you. Is it possible with these reptilian creatures that we have a class of seraphim that are shapeshifters and can take on any number of appearances? So it's not that there's just one class of angels that looks like a reptile, but I guess where I'm going with this is there are people who have had sleep paralysis that see the reptilians, right? And so what I'm wondering is, and let me tell you why I'm wondering this. Now there's Gen X or millennials and younger that when they have sleep paralysis, they're seeing Thor and Loki and Superman and comic book guys, right? So I don't think that there's an angel class out there within a red cape and red tights. Are these things just appearing to us in the guise of our pop culture icons so that we will recognize what they are or what they're representing? But could it possibly be that none of these things look anything like this at all? We couldn't even imagine what they look like, but these are just the costumes they're putting on for our benefit, so to speak.
What you're saying there kind of reminds me of the interview that I did at the Pagan Pride Festival with the witch, the chaos magic witch, and she was talking about invoking spells and doing rituals, invoking Thor and Marvel characters.
Yeah, I remember her saying that she spoke to Superman or Spider-Man. Or
something like that.
I remember that now.
So, hey, before we get too much further, let's try to watch this trailer. And Vic, I don't know if I played this for you before, but you will probably be able to recognize the song that I picked here. So we're going to come back. We're going to finish up our thoughts about the reptilians, but let's take a little break here and let's talk about this. Let's take a look at this trailer here. This is I was going to make a movie, but we did a conference back in 2009. Was that when it was? 20? Was it 20? It was 2010. I can't remember. Let's take a look at this. It's 2010.
Apocalyptica.
I believe the Antichrist is alive today in Europe. Christians who throw their hands up conspiracy theory.
Dr. Future.
And I really believe that these are the bird parents.
That
that the supernatural world exists. By Christians, our default setting should be to believe in the supernatural.
Look at what's happening here. Look at this new deception that Satan's brought upon humanity.
It's real people plotting and planning, doing all of that. It's really led me in this direction to kind of look at what's happening with current events and how they match up with the Bible.
I just know in my experience, there was a lot of terror and the inability to think. There was no rehearsed speech or thought plan. I was terrified, immobilized.
The rebuilding of a Jewish temple on the Temple Mount, the fulfillment of the Ezekiel words prophesied in chapter 38, the appearance of incredible signs and wonders as described in the book of Thessalonians.
The world was going to end on December 21st, 2012. Did you know that? And they're like, really? That's awfully specific. I'll check that out.
We as Christians should be able to see these things coming together more and more. And it should be an indicator to us that we're closer to the end times.
Paul tells us, in the last days, perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. And he says they will have a form of godliness, but shall deny the power thereof.
So the people that we've been relying on for the truth decided that they didn't want to give us the whole truth.
You see, in America, we don't understand this a lot because, again, the supernatural secrecy, a presence that needs to keep this suppressed, operative, but the culture blinded to what's going on.
But there's coming a final battle, and I'm looking forward for all of us saints, all of us people, behind our true leader, Jesus Christ.
10 minutes? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I'm in so much trouble I cannot even believe it. Sweet holy money.
Oh, missed the best part. Anyway, he said, "As I was recording Dr. Future." He says, "Is that thing on?"
Oh man!
I was trying to get some candid shots on the elevator of us talking.
Oh, funny.
And yeah. Anyway, you saw him out there. He had this van that he had a customized painting. Okay, and he had everybody that was anybody back then. He had, I think, Tom Horn, Derek and Sharon. He had Russ Dizdar painted on his van.
Oh,
right.
Man. Oh man.
And he had a whole like end times apocalyptic story on his van. So I've got all the footage of that, and dude, I would still love to find a way to use that. It just I didn't know how to make the movie, and I didn't know then what I knew later. And I'm like, how do I do this? And I didn't know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff of how do I work with so many different people. Some of the information was kind of contradictory. And I'm like, anyway, if I went back and looked at the footage, we could make something out of it. But it's kind of cool to see that very old footage of Russ in LA. And LA was just getting started back then.
Man,
he had recently left his job of he was like a worship leader at a church somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And within, a couple of years of that, and he put out the Nephilim Chronicles, and he had the alien interviews and politics, prophecy, and the supernatural. That's all he had.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous that Joe Jordan was there. I actually quote him quite a bit. So in the 90s, he was a field researcher for MUFON, and he still has some sort of role with MUFON, like he's like a Florida representative of some whatever. But he actually started his own Christian network where their goal is to prove that these alien and UFO encounters are of spiritual, they're spiritual and biblical events. But Joe Jordan is actually the one whose research back in the 90s in the 90s, he was the first one to put 2 and 2 together that calling on the name of Jesus during an abduction would stop the abductions in many cases. He interviewed several hundred abductees and just sort of providentially stumbled upon the fact that many of them were saying, when I cried out to Jesus, it stopped. And he put that research out, and it was originally kind of silenced, of course. But the cat then got out of the bag, and now things are getting, I think, a lot more sophisticated because that information is out of the bag. But he was the first one that I know of who tried to get that research out into the public.
I think Russ met Joe in Roswell.
Wow. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I got connected with him, and there's a story behind that conference I don't want to get into on the air, but I can tell you there's a little bit of drama that went on. And I haven't seen any drama like that since, honestly. Everybody's great now, but
wow.
There was some kind of weird stuff that went on afterwards. And actually some stuff that happened during the Q&A. And if anybody was there, they may not even know this. So I wonder if we had 70 people and we're going to have hundreds, in the archives. I wonder if there was anybody listening now that was actually at that conference. It was 13 years ago. Holy macaroni.
No wonder everybody looks so young. That's crazy.
Dude, I'm still here. I'm still crazy enough to be here.
13 years, man. You're in it for the long haul.
Dude.
It's crazy.
I'm having a moment right now.
Well, and it's crazy to me too. Like Derek Gilbert, LA, and you, maybe others, but you guys went from kind of doing that stuff in your spare time to now really giving your whole life to it. And
I never planned on that. Yeah. I thought I'll just put on some conferences. I didn't think I would do all this, honestly.
Yeah.
So
that's right. You had to
God
leave.
God bless Lara. She said she thinks she was there.
Missing time, Laura?
Yeah. It was in Antioch, Tennessee. It was in Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah.
Huh.
In a basement in a hotel. Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't sound sketchy.
Yeah. It was kind of in a basement. So.
Oh man. Oh.
Dude.
Wow.
I could go on and talking about that. So anyway, well, okay. When it comes to reptilians, I think all this is interesting, but what we might be dealing with is another extra dimensional character that has the ability to slip in and out of this dimension. Okay. Depending on the power that we give it. Okay. Now I'm just kind of spitballing here, Vic. Okay. So I'm saying some of these sightings or some of these experiences could be explained this way. Okay. There were now another thing, and this is kind of what some of the conclusions that Russ came to, because it was in his response to what David Icke was saying, and there were testimonies out there of people seeing lizard people and just swearing, hey, yeah, there's lizard people out there, and the royals are lizard people and all this. So one of the things that we found out, and that Russ has heard about this for years, is there are programs to convince people that they saw lizard people. Okay. So if you are drugged, if you are abused, if you are sleep deprived, and somebody comes in a very convincing, you know what I'm saying? Think drugged, think sleep deprived. And somebody comes in a lizard suit or makeup or some kind of reptilian thing, you can program these people, bring fear into them, right? And cause them, it's trauma-based mind control, cause them to believe that what they saw was real. Okay, so that's another option of an explanation. So
that would also explain how they could successfully pass a lie detector with flying colors. Because they would absolutely believe it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I bet a lot of the people that saw the Mothman would pass a lie detector test. And Bigfoot as well. I'm telling you what, I listened to a lot of it. I probably listened to close to 100 episodes of Sasquatch Chronicles about 6 years ago. And you could tell that these people saw something scary because they were shaken. They had PTSD. And I remember some of these guys were just scared to tell the story. And they were like, do you think they're going to come after me? The Bigfoot, is going to come after me. Maybe I shouldn't even be telling this story. They were so scared because of what they saw. Man, that is a fascinating podcast.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you know why they called Jim Morrison the Lizard King?
No.
He believed he could communicate with reptiles.
Yeah, I thought this was another dad joke.
It's a Jim Morrison joke.
Oh.
No, seriously, that's the story. But it kind of makes you wonder. We just assume when he says that he means little animals. Maybe with all his ayahuasca talking to Indians in the desert, he was talking about something else.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, have you heard about the programming of the reptilians before?
I hadn't heard that theory specific to reptilians, but I will tell you that, sometimes when I listen to these testimonies of military men who are whistleblowing and they're telling about their firsthand accounts with like the Montauk experiments or the Philadelphia experiment or the Roswell weather balloon or whatever, I do question, like, you came out of a high-ranking military facility. So on one hand, a lot of these guys, I 100% believe that they believe everything that they're saying. But I don't know that they weren't part of a militarized mind control program and that it was all just deep programming. Like, that's the part that I can't quite sift out.
Yeah. We have to keep that in mind. Okay. There are people that have said a lot of things, and we can know that some of these things are programmed. Okay. For example, we've heard people testify that they've been abused by Jesus. Okay. Well, we absolutely know that that's not true. Okay. So, and there have been similar situations that were parallel where people had belief in reptilians. So we can kind of see the connection with the trauma-based mind control, the programming. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess what would you do if you ran into one of these things? Probably shoot them. I don't know.
I think you'd have to take off their head.
Yeah, take off the head. Cut the head off.
Get the lead out.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, just like a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, something that can kind of fill in the blanks with the other sightings and the other testimonies of these things, it would make sense that something could slip in and out of a portal. Now, Vic, I think that, say that's what's going on down there in South Carolina, or what happened. That was a long time ago. You wonder if there was any kind of occult or satanic activity to kind of charge the area. Okay, just like people can move into a house where satanic rituals have taken place, and there is a you know, what they would call a haunted house. Okay. As far as we're concerned, we don't believe in ghosts, but we believe in demons that impersonate people, that impersonate ghosts. Okay. So means the same thing as far as I'm concerned. But well, what I mean by that is that's what we mean when we say haunted house.
Right.
Not that it means the same thing, but we use the same word, but we have a different meaning is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, I think geographical areas can be that way. If somebody has a belief or has a sighting in Bigfoot, or if they think they see something like a Mothman and they go back out looking for it, okay, just like what we've been talking about, it's almost like they can conjure it. Vic, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you go out looking for it, they're more than happy to oblige. You know, the problem with a lot of these stories, Tom, is that we hear the story in a vacuum. We don't really have all the details of the location or the person involved. And like, I'll just give you one example, though there are many. The family that lived in the Amityville house, not the initial family where the son committed the murders, but the next family to move in. They were talking about how haunted the house was and all the things that they saw. And, you know, it popularized this idea that house was demonized or haunted or whatever. But years and years and years later, this was maybe 10 years ago, the now grown son of the second family that lived there was doing a lot of podcasts. And
Remember that.
And he was very disturbed and upset over the way this story had been handled and the misconceptions. And he was talking about a stepfather or his mother's boyfriend, one of the two, and how they were in the house with Ouija boards conjuring these things. And so it really, when we hear these things on the news or we hear these things on, you know, even like the story that we heard, you know, I'm just changing a spare tire and this thing comes at me. I don't know anything about that kid. I don't know how innocent he is or if he's in an area that's charged. I don't know if there's occultists that meet there every Friday and do a ritual. I don't know if he was sober. There's 100 details that are left out of those stories that make it look very mysterious. Whereas if we had all the details, if we went into it with like a objective journalistic approach and asked the right questions, we would probably go, well, no, duh, something came at you. You know what I mean? So it's hard when these stories are always presented in a vacuum. So obviously they're going to look paranormal, but there's so many details of ley lines and charged areas and places where there might be altars or a ritual site or what that individual who had that encounter, what open doors they might have had in their life, what their affiliations were, you know. So I think some of these stories might not seem as crazy and supernatural as they appear in a 30-second blurb on the news if we knew all the details surrounding it.
Yeah, I agree, Vic. And just like the story that there was a movie called what was it called? Demon House up in Gary, Indiana. And we were there in a couple days covering that story. We interviewed the priest. Of course, they made a movie, this guy from the Ghost Channel or some, I don't know what kind of ghost hunter or something like that. He made a movie about the house, stayed in the house, and we were there on the street. We were outside of the house. We talked to the priest. We did an investigation. We talked to law enforcement in the area, and it was sensationalized. The story was very popular, you know, for a couple weeks, but there was another story behind it, and it had actually nothing to do with the house as far as we can tell. It had to do with this woman and the man that she was dating, and this man's wife was involved in voodoo rituals.
Yeah.
So If that guy out there was changing the tire, maybe he was vulnerable in a way. And this situation, you know, it was an opportune time for this demonic entity to show up. Now, that's a serious manifestation if it can jump on a car. And it didn't say that in the clips that we saw, but I don't know if there was any physical evidence of scratches or DNA of any kind of the lizard man on the cars. Probably before they even thought to get fingerprints or anything.
I would think if a 7-foot tall creature with claws leapt on the top of your car, there'd be some sort of evidence.
Yeah, you would think so. So, Vic, I'm not 100% sure how tomorrow night's show is going to go, but the clips are kind of important to what we're going to be talking about. So, guys, just to give you a heads up, the plan tomorrow night is we're going to talk about an old case that I don't know if we've ever talked about on Through the Black, and I don't know how we missed this. Okay, this is kind of a big case. This is an interesting case, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get away with putting this on YouTube. But as we said before, we're always on Rumble. It gets uploaded to Rumble. I'm going to talk to my tech and see if there's a way that we can simulcast on Rumble tomorrow night, just in case we get shut down or we have to go off of YouTube, because the clips are from a TV show in the UK and they may not let us play it. I don't know. Maybe they'll fly under the radar, or maybe there's a way we can find a clip that is somebody else uploaded. So, but hey, we'll let you know tomorrow night. Tune in here, same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to be here, guys. Don't forget about the Go Therefore conference. Don't forget about the Save Them podcast, which you can find at throughtheblack.com. That's our friends from the Shatter Ops team that's doing that. So putting out content there, same type of content that we do, and really, really good stuff, guys. So you guys can check that out. Throughtheblack.com is the website. Guys, thank you for sharing our videos. Thank you for sharing our channel, our website, everything that you do. And if you're going to share this one, you might want to share the Rumble version, because apparently there is missing time. There's missing clips in this. Man, they must have people working overtime at YouTube to be able to catch this stuff. Of course, we know it's a computer algorithm or program, but it's amazing how they catch this stuff in real time. So yeah. They probably got the Chat GPT thing working for them.
Probably.
So, hey guys, we will be back tomorrow night. Going to be an interesting show. It's going to be about super soldiers, MK Ultra, that type of stuff. We're going to be talking about madness in the fast lane. Thanks for giving us a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't done that. God bless you guys, and we will see you later. Bye.